So today's guest is Johnny McNerney, the founder of brand Ruthless Americans, a brand built for hardworking Americans. Let's start with 1440 concept. Tell us about that, Johnny.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. So if you look at my social media handles, it says Johnny Ruthless 1440. And one of the reasons for that is obviously the name of the company is Ruthless Americans. It's a ruthless dedication to what you love. The 1440 stands for 1,440 minutes in the day. My idea, my concept with that is, what do you do with your day? How much can you get out of it? Doesn't mean you need to be going 110% all day, every day, but just, are you doing the best you can every day?
Yeah, it's good. Now tell me about your upbringing, where you grew up, and how that was for you.
Let's see, man. Born in Watts, Martin Luther King Jr. Hospital. Grew up in Bell Gardens, went to school there, spent time in Paramount and Southgate. Interesting background, man. Came from a very diverse background, heavily Hispanic community. Grew up in that area all the way till I was about 17 years old. Went to Bell Gardens High School, and yeah, there's a lot of diversity in that neighborhood and in that area. So,
And what about your relationship with your parents?
I come from divorced homes. Interesting background. I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. My stepdad raised me since I was about 2. I had my birth dad on the weekends, and he was the one that lived in Paramount. But my stepdad was pretty much the one that raised me, and along with my mom, of course. And growing up in broken homes, that's an interesting dynamic. You grow up in volatile communities along with volatile houses. A lot of things happen from that. And so the experience can be a little different, which I think is one of the reasons why, for me, as I've grown in this journey, is talking about save our children and protecting the kids and stuff like that, is because I do come from broken homes. I do come from, I guess, what you would consider abusive homes. So for me, as I've gone on this journey, I think part of that is trying to help other kids and keep them safe.
Yeah, that's good. So tell me about some of the best and worst jobs that you've had over the years.
I've been working since I was young. And when I say young, like teenage young. Like back in the day when there were no rules about how old you had to be to work a job or whatever it was. We come from very poor communities. Basically, dad was working 2 jobs to pay the bills, and he'd come home with side work or whatever it was, and you're 8, 9 years old. My dad did machinery. He was a taxi driver. He did everything he could to put food on the table. So there'd be times he'd come home from working at the factory or one of the machine work jobs, and we'd be putting spring parts together with him. Or we were digging ditches. I've done everything, man, from, construction, plumbing, warehouse work. As I got older, I worked for LA Fitness for a little bit doing sales and personal training in my 20s. I actually spent a little bit of time in Hollywood doing background work and extra work and stuff like that. That was fun. I was like 18 to 21, 22, I want to say. I got into the nightclub bar industry when I was 22. I absolutely love it. I've always loved it. Yeah, I've worked a ton of jobs, man, over the years.
And how old are you now?
45.
Gotcha. Tell me about cleaning up human and animal crap.
Yeah. So I remember there was times where I had a friend who worked for a company, and this was before like people actually picked up their own dog poop. Like you go around and you'd pick up dog poop in the city, and there was companies that hired you for this. And at the time, like, needed a job, needed to make a couple bucks. I was like, okay.
Did they pay well?
No, they did not pay well at all. Human feces, that part of that comes from being in the service industry, the nightclub industry, and you'd be amazed how many people can't get to a trash can, or just
You mean a toilet?
either.
Either.
Yeah, man. You'd be amazed, man. People get a few too many drinks in them, and their bodies just quit. And that's the other thing too, man, is you got to think about it like you're talking about different jobs. When you're figuring out life, especially if you're in your 20s, early on in life, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, where you're going to go. And in between that, you've got to grab a job here, grab a job there to pay the bills. I know I was very lucky because I worked for a couple different construction companies over the years. I worked for a company called Stewart Designs. We got to do nightclub and restaurant remodels. That was one of the really cool things I got to do. I got to go in and be a part of the team that went in there. We'd do all the demo, build the place back up, turn it into a new restaurant, new bar, whatever it was, or you go in and do remodel work for the place. I worked with a team of guys that just had amazing talent, man, from carpenters to designers. We were the handyman guys on the job site. We were banging a hammer every day and doing demo work for them. They come in and just do this beautiful bar top. We got to do some of that work with them. And it's cool because you go back to those restaurants after you finish the job and you get to see the work that you did.
Yeah,
You know?
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
That's super cool.
I always say, do your best to do what you love. I've got friends that are in the restaurant and nightclub industry that have 2 degrees who are still in the industry because, one, they make more money, 2, they love the business. If you can make it possible to do whatever you love for work, then you're really not working. That's the way I look at it, because you look forward to going to that place.
True.
You
Yeah.
know? Even if you got to take the job to pay the bills, that's your 40-hour week. You've still got an extra 20, 25 hours a week that you can dedicate to yourself or to your brand or something that you're trying to build. I think that's what entrepreneurship is all about.
Yeah, exactly. And you're doing that with your brand. You're working jobs at
Absolutely,
all kinds
man.
of jobs, and then you come home and then you work
Yeah.
on Ruthless Americans.
That's something, and that's a great example right there, is because at the end of the day, you still got to pay the bills. And there's a smart way to go about it. I call it calculated risk. And you go, okay, how much can I risk here and how much can I risk here? Okay, I got to pay the bills. I got to put food on the table. I still want to create these brands and these projects, and I want to do these things. How do I make this all work? If I quit this over here, how in the hell am I going to pay for this over here? I've got my tool bag in the truck right now. I've got a couple small jobs I'm doing this week. That's the thing, man. Is the other thing is too is like humble yourself enough to realize that, hey, man, we still got to pay the bills. And if that means banging a hammer one day and selling shirts another, awesome. I'll do it. I have no problem with that. Slanging drinks on the weekends, wonderful. I'll take it. There's
Yeah.
ample opportunities out there, man.